Baiklah hadirin yang dimuliakan, bersama-sama kita bersiap sedia untuk melalukan ketibaan tetamu kehormat majlis kita. The Right Honourable Premier is making his way into the Tegas Digital Village, and together we shall welcome our guest of honour. Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of our guest of honor, the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dato' Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Dato' Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, may we all remain standing for our national anthem, Negaraku, and our state anthem, Ibu Pertiwiku. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may kindly take your seats. Our utmost welcome to our guest of honor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin today, we would like to present a special welcoming performance by Karya Terindah Performing Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for Karya Terindah Performing Arts. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us first start with a safety briefing. You are all now at the auditorium of Tegas Digital Village. In the occurrence of an emergency, the alarm shall be triggered. Upon hearing of the alarm, please walk out and evacuate this building. Walk calmly to the assembly point, which is located at Block B at the parking lot. Our safety personnel shall give further instructions at the assembly point. Always keep your distance from each other and make sure you have your masks up. Thank you for your kind attention. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam Sarawak ku sayang, and a very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our utmost welcome to our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. The Honorable Dr. Hazlan bin Abang Haji Hipni, Deputy Minister for Energy and Environmental Sustainability and Tegas Board of Trustees. Yang Berusaha Technologist Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority, SMA. Yang Berusaha Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Dr. Razlan Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance Association, MSCA, and Senior Vice President of Malaysian Industry Government Group of High Technology. Heads of Department, delegates from University Tun Hussein On, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the launching of TRANSCEND Sarawak and Resilient Forward Living Lab 2022. My name is Saleh Mohidin, and it is indeed an honor to be your host for today's event. We would like to thank each and every one of you here for taking your time to join us for this prestigious event. Today, ladies and gentlemen, apart from the official launch, we shall also bear witness the MOU exchange ceremony between Sarawak Multimedia Authority with University Tun Hussein On Malaysia and Sarawak Multimedia Authority with Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance Association, witnessed by the Right Honorable Premier of Sarawak. We shall also have the privilege to listen to two keynote addresses entitled Introduction to TRANSCEND Sarawak 2022, Technology Enhanced Stakeholder Collaboration for Supporting Risk-Sensitive Sustainable Urban Development by Professor Terence Fernando, and the establishment of Resilient Forward Lab, Resilient and Agile Cities for Future in Kuching, Sarawak, by Yang Berusaha Associate Professor, Surveyor Dr. Noral Fisha Sulaiman, Country Principal Investigator of TRANSCEND Malaysia, and Kanzu Research Resilient Built Environment, University Tun Hussein On Malaysia. To begin our event today, we would like to welcome on stage to lead the recitation of Doa. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ihsan bin Haji Haidzir, Timbalan Imam Besar Negeri, bagi memimpin bacaan doa. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Pada hari yang penuh kebaikan ini, kami hadirkan diri sambil menadah tangan memohon kehadratmu ya Ilahi. Kurniakanlah kebaikan yang sepenuhnya kepada kami semua. Sempena majlis pelancaran TRANSCEND Sarawak and Resilient Forward Living Lab 2022 yang akan disempurnakan oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier Sarawak. Allahumma ya Allah, Jadikanlah penganjuran program ini berjalan dengan baik, lancar dan sempurna serta tercapai segala matlamatnya. Kurniakanlah kepada kami semua manfaat yang sepenuhnya daripada program ini. Anugerahkanlah kepada kami kesihatan dan keafiatan yang berterusan, kekuatan azam dan kesungguhan, bimbingan dan petunjuk-Mu dalam segala perancangan dan usaha kami, demi kebaikan masyarakat, negeri dan negara kami. Hiasilah peribadi kami dengan akhlak yang mulia dan budi pekerti yang luhur. Ya Allah, permudahkanlah segala urusan kami dan temukanlah kami dengan kejayaan yang cemerlang. Allahumma ya Allah ya dzal jalali wal ikram. Dengan sifat rahim-Mu kekalkanlah kepada negeri dan negara kami nikmat kestabilan, kesejahteraan dan keselamatan. Lindungilah kami daripada segala kelemahan dan kelalaian, keaiban dan keburukan. Ya Allah, perkukuhkanlah perpaduan, persefahaman dan saling membantu antara kami yang hidup dalam suasana berbilang kaum, budaya dan agama ini. Ya Allah, kami pohonkan limpah rahmat, taufik dan hidayah-Mu bagi pemimpin-pemimpin kami dan seluruh rakyat negeri dan negara yang tercinta ini. Sesungguhnya Engkaulah sebaik-baik tempat kami memohon pertolongan. Allahumma bika nasta'in wa alaika natawakkal wa anta rabbul arshil azim. Irhamna ya Rabbana fa innaka anta arhamur rahimin. Wa sallallahu wa sallama ala khairi khalqihi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Majlis merakamkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada yang berbahagia Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ehsan bin Haji Haidzir, Timbalan Imam Besar Negeri Sarawak untuk bacaan doa itu tadi. Ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, we shall now continue on with our event. Please welcome on stage to deliver the welcoming remarks. Please put your hands together for Yang Berusaha, Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein On, Malaysia. Dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang amat berhormat Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, Bentun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Yang berbahagia Dr. Azlan bin Habang Haji Hibni, Deputy Minister of Energy and Environmental Sustainability. Yang berusaha teknologis Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority SMA. Yang berbahagia Encik Engineer Ahmad Deni bin Haji Ahmad Fauzi, Director of Department of Irrigation and Drainage Sarawak. Yang berbahagia Professor Terence Fernando, Principal Investigator of the TRANSCEND Project and Think Lab, University of Salford, Manchester, UK. Yang berusaha Associate Professor Surveyor Dr. Nora Fishah Sulaiman, Country Principal Investigator of TRANSCEND Malaysia and Kanzu Research, Resilient Built Environment, University Tun Hussein On, Malaysia. Dr. Razrat Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance and Senior Vice President of Malaysian Industry Government Group of High Technology MIC. Distinguished guests, speakers and all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. First and foremost, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to the honorable guests, the Right Honorable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bentun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, the Premier of Sarawak, for attending and will be officiating our launching ceremony today. I would like to thank all other ministers, MOU partners, representatives from Sarawak Multimedia Authority, SMA, Tabung Ekonomi Gagasan Anak Sarawak, Tegas, Tegas Digital Village, TDV, Sarawak Digital Economy Corporation, SDEC, State Security and Enforcement Sarawak, UKPS, Sarawak Disaster Management Agencies, SDMA, and other honorable guests. Before I continue further, allow me to recite a short Malay pantun to embrace all of you here. Kalau pergi Tanjung Keramat, anak manis jangan diangkat. Bersama kita memohon rahmat, moga majlis mendapat berkat. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in 2017, Kanzu Research, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, UTHM, was awarded by Mobilized Research Project, funded by GCRF and ESPRC, with University of Salford, United Kingdom, as a leading partner, and 2 other partners from Sri Lanka and Pakistan, with the total value of 7 million ringgit Malaysia. During Mobilized project, UTHM received 2 Mobilized digital platforms from United Kingdom. One of them was already sent to Sarawak, and right now it is placed in SMA and successfully operated. Mobilized project aims to provide a multi-agency collaborative platform for making communities more resilient. Later in 2019, TRANSCEND is the second international project funded by GCRF and ESRC, undertaken by Kanzu Research University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, UTHM, and Think Lab University of Salford, United Kingdom, with a few other partners from University of Moratuwa, University of Colombo, both from Sri Lanka, and University of Peshawar, Pakistan, with the total value of 5.4 million ringgit Malaysia. Kanzu Research, which is led by Associate Professor Surveyor Dr. Nora Fishah Sulaiman, is one of our best research groups in UTHM. Focusing on resilient built environment research agenda, TRANSCEND project's main aims is to study on technology enhanced stakeholder collaboration for supporting risk-sensitive sustainable urban development. Ladies and gentlemen, in specific, TRANSCEND Sarawak 2022 is aimed to officiate TRANSCEND International Project for Sarawak State Government and to officiate resilient, forward-led, resilient and agile city for future with Sarawak State Government. At the same time, this event is also carried out to hold meeting and discussion of TRANSCEND project amongst our professional partners and communities leaders. In collaboration with Sarawak State Government, Sarawak Multimedia Authority SMA, Tegas, Sarawak Digital Economic Corporation SDEC, and State Security and Enforcement Unit UKPN, TRANSCEND aims to investigate, process, governance structures, policies, and technology to enable the transition towards a more risk-sensitive and transformative urban development approach. It is hoped that this collaboration enables a collaboration between parties who created digital infrastructure and offering digital knowledge, training and development to various national disaster management agencies to reduce the impact of disaster risk reduction, or DRR, Sarawak community in particular. This will ultimately help to secure resilient and enabling transformation through adaptive governance. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as one of the Malaysian Technical University Network, or we call it MTUN, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia is always enthusiastic with the latest development of science and technology for making our communities resilient. In UTHM, we believe that research and innovation culture is primarily centered on the development of our people. We provide this opportunity through concerted efforts such as the setting up of living lab incubators, collaborative networks, and practicing a knowledge-sharing culture that is underlined by in respect of intellectual property. UTHM is committed in providing a platform to bring local and international researchers, experts, and practitioners together to share their ideas, findings, and research outcomes in the various aspects of knowledge and contributing to a new knowledge. On behalf of UTHM, it's a great honor for me to be here on this occasion of launching TRANSCEND International Project for Sarawak State Government and to officiate Resilient Forward Lab, Resilient and Adversity for Future with Sarawak State Government. Lastly, I thank all our honorable guests, facilitators, and participants for your valuable contributions. It is your active participation that has made this occasion successful. I also would like to congratulate Professor Terence Fernando from Salford, United Kingdom, Associate Professor Dr. Nora from UTHM, SMA, Tegas, and Council research members for successfully organizing this meaningful event. I wish you all the best, and may God's blessing be with all of you. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Yang Berusaha Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein On Malaysia, for his welcoming remarks. We do look forward to a great collaboration between all of these agencies. Distinguished guests, hadirin yang dimuliakan, to continue on, please welcome to the stage to deliver his speech on behalf as the host and organizer, Yang Berusaha Technologist Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority, SMA. Let's give him a big round of applause, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'. The Right Honorable Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Dato' Abang Haji Openg Premier of Sarawak, The Honorable Dr. Haji Hazlan bin Abang Haji Ibni, Deputy Minister of Energy and Environmental Sustainability and Tegas Board of Trustee, Yang Berusaha Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, our Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein On Malaysia, Yang berbahagia Dr. Razak Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysian Smart City Alliance Association, and also a Senior Vice President Malaysia Industry Government Group for High Technology, in short MITE, and our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen here. First of all, I would like to express my highest gratitude for your presence here, sir. And on behalf of organizing committee, we welcome you to this event of the launching of TRANSCEND Sarawak in Resilient Forward Living Lab 2022. Let me begin with history of this partnership, sir. All right. Way back in year 2018, the Kanzu research team of UTHM had together with Mr. Awang Abdullah, CEO of RSGIS, is our Sarawakian, the expert in GIS, came and approached at the time State Secretary Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Amar Haji Moshidi bin Ghani at the time on mobilize to introduce this partnership of this UK, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka came together. We have been grateful because among 13 states in Malaysia, we have been chosen because of our Sarawak digital economy strategy that we have in that particular year. They are very impressed of our comprehensiveness of this digital strategy. So this subsequently been materialized by the next State Secretary, Dato' Ahmad Jaul, and appointed Dato' Ik as our chairman to coordinate the partnership among this agency and also us, SMA, and also UTHM. And what we have in this research project is to develop this mobilized digital platform for disaster risk reduction, DRR. Yeah, this is very important. And the explanation later on will be made by our keynote speakers, Prof. Terence and also Associate Professor Dr. Nora later on in our programs. The idea of a DRR, disaster reduction risk, is come up when this tsunami hit Aceh, Banda Aceh, in December 2004. And the World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction adopted Hugo frameworks for action from 2005 to 2015. And this framework for building the resilience of nation and community to disaster emphasize the need to enhance international and regional cooperations and assistance in the field of DRR by having the enhancing capacity building through transfer of knowledge, technology, and expertise, sharing of research finding, lesson learned, and best practices, compiling information on disaster risk and impact for all scale of disaster. The number 4, appropriate support to enhance governance for DRR at all levels. And the last one is financial assistance to reduce existing risks and to avoid the generation of new risks. This is what SDMC did. SDMC stands for Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, led by our YAB Premier, and we have the only state that announced Bantuan Kewangan Sarawak Ku Sayang. All right, is to get the community back on the foot. Yeah, and in the SDMC, we have gathered all the agency and share the data and experience that we have. During the pandemic, we almost have daily meeting in the SDMC to discuss what the best next actions. We have the Enter Sarawak application, EHDF, and other kind of governance that we have in SDMC, all right? And to deploy what the DRR mean, disaster reduce risk strategy, all right? And Alhamdulillah, the recent visit by Majlis Keselamatan Negara, I think, have recognized the SDMC as the best approach in the nations. Yeah. Subsequently, the Sendai framework for DRR established in 2015, and this framework will cover up until 2030, and it's named after this Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. In the Sendai framework, this is what we are looking at, right? The 4 priorities are understanding disaster risk, strengthening disaster risk governance. This is what SDMC are doing. Investing in disaster reduction for resilient. Bantuan Kewangan Sarawak Ku Sayang is what been mooted by our YAB Premier to get back this community to stand on their own foot. And the last one, enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. The pandemic really hit us, but Alhamdulillah, the Sarawakian under the leadership of YAB Premier have already get into their feet and start moving forward. Right? The framework objective and priority mentioned are what we like to gain from these participations in Mobilize and Transcends. Right? Under the Transcends project, the team will use and extend the Mobilize platform through Living Lab named Resilient Forward to support risk-sensitive, sustainable urban development. This is what we carry out from the disaster itself to make our smart city more resilient in our design of the smart city. This project Transcends will involve all the agencies in Sarawak. Right? We have approached main agency like DID, Land and Survey, Unit Keselamatan, and also we have approached UNIMAS, but unfortunately they cannot join us today, right? To get all this agency and all the experts to come on board and discuss what will be the next strategy, what will be the best strategy if pandemic or a disaster like a pandemic hit us again, right? So in the Transcend Sarawak, is also aimed to investigate the socio-technical system that we have. We have partnered with our Ministry of Women and Family, right, to see what will be the social development, what will be the social impact to, by this disaster. And also to create a collaborative virtual workspace that enable foresight and consensus building, right? We can predict anything. And to promote an adaptive governance approach across multi-agency and organization to analyze, forecast, visualize, debate on disaster risk and trade-off. This is what we have been doing during the SDMC meeting. Everybody put up their thought, their ideas, how to mitigate these risks, right? Even during the pandemic, we can see the movement of the people through our traffic lights, smart traffic light. And we know that some MCO in the certain area cannot be implemented because people need food, right? But with certain data that we have, right, we can put more policemen to do this scrutinize of the people movement. All right, and to develop the capability to choose a sustainable, resilient, and development plan. This is what we. In short, the Transcend program that we participate today can provide a quick response system, lesson learned, and best practices to build the resilient. This is what we are intend to do, and we are building that. And as a digital policy for agency for Sarawak government, we will also include this as a part of our smart city operating system. We have designed the operating system to be an open platform system. We can accept what type of data you have, and we also can share the data that we have to the people for the innovations in later stage. To conclude my speech today, a key element in all of this is data. Data is a tool for enhancing human intuition. This is what the PCDS put to us, is what YAB Premier put to us. Data and innovation fill up the economy. Right? So, not only for the disaster, but in process to achieve what we put in 2030 in our PCDS. So today, we embark on another phase in the journey to create knowledge. That's why we agreed to organize this event at Tegas Digital Village. We want this institution of Tegas here, Digital Village, as part of our what we call a center to produce very innovative. It's not just for disaster, but also for the community resilience and so on. So today, ladies and gentlemen and sir, I would like again to express my deepest appreciation to the team of SMA, UTHM, Tegas, Protocol, Malaysian Smart City Alliance, and also your officer for their contribution and effort to organize the event. Without you, sir, and also, of course your team, our cabinet minister and assistant minister, with a foresight that you have, we can go even to a greater height. We can even bring Sarawak to the world level now. We have partnered with Salford today. Is a Think Lab, is a quite established organization, and we want to have the Sarawakian to be proud of what we are having today. For that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Yang Berusaha Technologist, Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority, for his speech. I believe, yes, all Sarawakians and all of us here today do look forward to the implementation of this technology and this platform. Baiklah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, hadirin yang dimuliakan, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the main highlight of this event. And now we shall invite Yang Berusaha Technologist, Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, to invite and welcome our guest of honor, the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bintu Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, to deliver the officiating speech. Let's put our hands together for the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, salam Sarawakku sayang. Yang berhormat Saudara Dr. Haji Hazlan bin Abang Haji Hipni, Timbalan Menteri Tenaga dan Kelestarian Alam Sekitar, yang berbahagia Saudara Dr. Zaidi Razak, General Manager Sarawak Multimedia Authority, Yang Berusaha Profesor Dr. Zairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, Yang Berusaha Dr. Raslan Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance, Dev-dev jemputan, seterusnya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, termasuklah pensyarah kita yang saya hormati sekalian. Pertama, saya ingin hendak mengucapkan terima kasih dan setinggi penghargaan kepada pihak SMA bersama-sama dengan Universiti Tun Hussein On kerana dapat bersama-sama dalam majlis kita pada hari ini dan telah menjemput saya untuk bersama-sama meresmikan program kita pada hari ini. Saya mengambil kesempatan ini untuk mengucap setinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih atas jemputan yang diberi, satu penghormatan untuk kita berkongsi bersama mengenai dengan perubahan yang sedang berlaku, khususnya dari sudut perubahan iklim, climate change, yang selalu mewujudkan beberapa disaster, and then how you manage to face this disaster. Hari ini saya hendak berkongsi dengan disaster yang saya lihat di Korea minggu lepas. Saya dengan Dr. Hazlan dan rakan-rakan berkunjung di Korea untuk melihat pembangunan posko dan juga Samsung. Semua jadual telah disediakan. The program was there and prepared by our counterpart in Korea together with the Korean government. And we were there, we were supposed to go to a place called Sohang, where the main POSCO business is. You know, they are steel manufacturer. But on the way to Korea, typhoon came. So we have to cancel our trip to Sohang. But what was important, I want to share with you is this. When the typhoon was about to come, the data came in. First, to divert the flight. Approaching Seoul, you had to fly above China, meaning extra 1.5 hours. And this is because of the data that you got from the center that give the signal to you. So you avoid the risk, otherwise you'll be in a typhoon. That's number one. Number two, the next day, our phone keep receiving alert every hour, so much so we could not sleep. So you create another disaster to your ear. And every hour, the alert came in. And now how to manage your phone to get the silent mode. Even you put on silent mode, the signal still there coming. So you have to find a way. The other way is you just put on flight mode. Press the flight mode, the sound no longer there. So that one also to avoid the risk of your hearing problem. What I'm saying here is, any disaster, you have to you must have the data in advance. And this data comes from convergence of data. And you manage the convergence of data in order to inform and engage people who are within that particular vicinity. And that data will be in layered form, so that when you get access to it, you got the right data, and the next thing is how you use the data to reduce your risk. So exactly this is what has been done in Sarawak when we face pandemic. We asked the State Disaster Committee to get all the data, entry point, hotel, and also agriculture, everything in layered form. And the next question is the tracking system. Assuming there's a sort of group of people who need assistance, you send your staff there. That staff you must have a device to track the movement of the staff. Then the staff, your staff, give you back information. That is what we did, and Alhamdulillah, we managed to reduce the risk. In nutshell, I think the main system is to get the data correct, that's all. and it must be based on convergence of data. But then the data must travel. When the data travels, must be in real speed, real time, if possible. That is why I think for us, if you want really to implement this policy, the speed is important, real time. I have requested MCMC we should go direct to 5G. 4G can be upgraded to 5G because as you know, we have 3G, you have to change the device, change the equipment to 4G. It takes time, but then if we can, for a developing country like us, we go straight, leapfrog to 5G. Of course, it costs money, but we have to find money untuk naikkan dia punya speed. Otherwise, this thing won't work. It has to be real time, and you can only react when you got the right data. Otherwise, the action for you to reduce risk will be maybe 1 hour or 3 hours late. And then whatever action you want to put in place maybe tidak sesuai lah dengan keadaan yang sudah berubah. Sebab itu saya bagi pihak Negeri Sarawak mengucap terima kasih lah kerana kita ada lab. And then I hope this lab will identify certain weaknesses in our system and we propose how to manage these weaknesses and strengthen the way we operate and the way we engage. I would like also to share with you that we got problem in Sarawak in terms of connectivity. And that is why we have to spend a lot of money because the size of Sarawak is too huge to cover. And number 2 is also the terrain, because your signal may not be able to reach your point of target because of the terrain. In other words, we have to spend a lot of money. So far, the Sarawak government has spent almost 3 billion on its own to upgrade our infrastructure, beside the assistance given by federal government. And Sarawak cannot rely on federal government alone just because of the size. Because other states also want the money. So difficult for the federal government, but we can understand what we do on our part. We try to get as much revenue as possible and put back in terms of infrastructure development. I hope your lab today will identify all this, and perhaps we can also recommend to the federal government. It could be a joint approach in terms of upgrading our basic infrastructure. And number 2 is, there are 2 ways, either by fiber optic or by clouding. But the problem with clouding is you can retrieve the data, especially your important data that you cannot share. So I know Cisco is doing research on that to protect the data, how to insulate the data. But until today, it seems not that clear yet. But definitely for Sarawak, we still have to depend also on clouding beside our fiber optic. And fiber optic takes time. I hope this sort of weakness can be identified through this lab, and also the formation of your various platform towards convergence. And this platform can provide the relevant data for you to react, especially in terms of disaster. The smart city concept is one of the approaches that we are adopting. The only thing is sometimes no secrecy. If you happen to visit our main command center, you can see the traffic, the car, the license plate, and you can see the movement, mobility of people. Nanti orang kata, siapa perempuan dengan dia tu? Secrecy, tak ada. I'm just saying that, I was in Korea, not this trip, previous trip, I used to share, they have a bunker, and they can see the movement of people. So the question now is secrecy, privacy. It becomes an issue. Some people do not want to be seen, but then for safety, security of the place, sometimes the camera doesn't distinguish, but actually it's good for safety, regardless of what. So this smart city concept is very important for us to reduce the effect of incident in our traffic system. Dengan itu sekali lagi saya ucap terima kasih dan saya harap lab ini akan memberikan kesan yang positif kepada kita. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Yang Amat Berhormat Premier dan Majlis dengan segala hormat yang memohon untuk Yang Amat Berhormat Premier untuk berada di atas pentas dan menjemput div-div kenamaan untuk bersama dengan tetamu kehormat Majlis untuk acara simbolik perasmian Majlis. Dipersilakan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the launch. Is everyone ready? Yes? Is everyone ready? Yes. If you are ready, we are ready. We would like to invite the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak to proceed on to the facial recognition device, which is situated on the left side of the stage. Baiklah. To activate the launch by facing the facial recognition device, to initiate it in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and congratulations to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak as we have launched the TRANSCEND Sarawak and Resilient Forward Living Lab 2022. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the exchange of Memorandum of Understanding ceremony and invite our guest of honour and distinguished guests to the centre of the stage. To begin, witnessed by the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, we shall proceed with the first MOU exchange between SMA and UTHM. We invite Yang Berusaha Technologist, Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority, and Yang Berusaha Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of UTHM. Gentlemen, you may exchange the documents. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. And now we invite again Yang Berusaha Technologist, Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of SMA, and Yang Berbahagia, Dr. Razlan Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance Association, witnessed by the Right Honourable Premier to exchange the MOU. Gentlemen, you may exchange the documents. Let's give them a big round of applause also, please. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite again Yang Berusaha Technologist, Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, to present a document compilation to our Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. This document is the implementation of a collaborative multi-agency platform for building resilient communities, technology-enhanced stakeholder collaboration for supporting risk-sensitive sustainable urban development, and resilient forward lab, resilient and agile cities for future in Kuching, Sarawak. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and let's give them another big round of applause. We now move on to our final agenda, the memento presentation. We would like to invite Professor Technologist Ruzairi bin Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of UTHM, to first present the memento to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. And next, we'd like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dr. Razlan Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance Association, to present the memento to our Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. Thank you, and let's give a big round of applause for the Premier of Sarawak, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. And now we'd like to invite our guest of honour with the Dif-Dif kenamaan for a group photo, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two important keynote presentations to share with our guest of honour and all of us here today. Jadi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, we'd like to invite the Right Honourable Premier and distinguished guests back to your seats for the two important keynote presentations. Dipersilakan. Majlis merakamkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan sekali lagi kepada tetamu kehormat majlis, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, for gracing and officiating this event. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, now for the keynote presentation. We would like to invite Yang Berbahagia, Professor Terence Fernando, Principal Investigator of the TRANSCEND Project and Think Lab, University of Salford, Manchester, United Kingdom, to deliver his keynote. Let's give him a big round of applause, please.
Good morning. The Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi, Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Thank you for sharing your vision and also the advice you've given to the project team. Thank you very much. The Honourable Dr. Haslan bin Abang Haji Hipni, Deputy Minister for Energy and Environmental Sustainability. Technologist Dr. Zaid bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority, SMA. Thank you very much for the support you've given us, as well as explaining the DRR concept to everyone. Professor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. Again, thank you very much for your support as well. Dr. Raslan Ahmed, Chairman of Malaysia Smart Cities Alliance and Senior Vice President of Malaysia Industry Government Group of High Technology. Associate Professor Surveyor Dr. Noral Fisher Sulaiman, Country Principal Investigator of TRANSCEND Malaysia and Cancer Research, Resilient Built Environment, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. Nora, thank you very much for your support as well. So, distinguished guests, it's my pleasure to be part of this momentous occasion and be among prominent figures who are in a position to create a prosperous Sarawak and a safer world for our current and future generations. So before I deliver my keynote speech, I would like to introduce a bit about the Think Lab, where our Mobilize project and also the Transcend journey began. Think Lab is a future center based at the University of Salford in Manchester in the UK. The mission of the Think Lab is to develop innovative technology solutions that can address global challenges and industry challenges. Over the last 15 years, we have worked with our British and European partners to develop innovative technology solutions for a range of areas and sectors such as aerospace engineering, space mission planning for Mars, building construction, railway engineering, urban regeneration, and smart cities. These projects were funded by our Research Council UKRI and also the European Commission. Our work with Network Rail in the UK won prestigious regional and national awards in 2016 in recognition of the innovation we brought to the railway industry. Our focus is about bringing state-of-the-art digital technology for solving real-world problems. We have seen how technology has evolved over the last few decades. It has given birth to concepts such as Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0, and people are now trying to define what Industry 6.0 could be. This industry solution is aimed at exploiting the power of advanced technologies such as IoT, big data, artificial intelligence, simulation, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. Focus of Industry 5.0, however, is about transition to a sustainable, human-centric, and resilient future. The advances in industry revolution have given birth to the concept of smart cities. The concept of smart cities has evolved from just being technologies to considering smart living, smart communities, smart governance, smart transport, and smart environments, etc. However, disasters can create devastating impact on our urban environments, and therefore it is important that we include smart resilience as one of the key aspects when developing smart cities to avoid climate-induced disasters, wiping away hard-earned development gain achieved over many years. So according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, depending on the way that we control our greenhouse gas emission, we will have different climate change pathways. Our future will be different. Under the existing trajectory, the world is on the track for global average temperature rise of at least 2.7 degrees by 2100. This means we will see frequent floods, droughts and landslides, etc. Therefore, it is important that we consider the concept of resilience in our neighborhood, city, and regional development plans. What do we mean by resilience? UNDRR defined resilience as the ability of a system, community, or society exposed to hazards to resist, absorb, accommodate, and recover from the effect of a hazard in a timely manner. Therefore, it is important that we build our capacity to resist, absorb, and bounce back from a disaster by implementing approaches before a disaster strikes. We need to move away from just disaster response to disaster mitigation, disaster adaptation, vulnerability reduction, community awareness building, for example, disaster preparedness, early warning, and then, of course, we need to go to response. However, the first step towards building such resilience is developing a detailed understanding of our local risks. local vulnerabilities and local hazards, and then implementing a collaborative approach to reducing those risks to enhance our resilience. However, there are many barriers to implement those steps. At present, the complex interdependencies that exist with our urban infrastructure and services are not fully understood or considered in building resilience. Cities are complex with many interdependencies between their subsystems such as energy, water, transport, and health. Failure of one element can propagate across infrastructure and services. For example, COVID has shown how a disaster can propagate and have a devastating impact across geographical boundaries, government sectors, industry sectors, and communities. However, at present, many cities are focusing on service optimization at the subsystem level without considering the resilience of urban environment as a whole. Therefore, it is important to introduce a collaborative approach to urban development that brings relevant stakeholders to assess various designs, options, and choose solutions that enhance urban resilience. Furthermore, our research has shown that there is a reluctance among agencies to share data. However, I'm delighted to see that Sarawak has taken steps to address this issue. Nevertheless, it is important to establish a proper data governance policy to make sure all the necessary hazard and city information is captured and updated regularly to support quality, evidence-based decision-making in building resilience. Another barrier is the lack of community engagement. For building an inclusive society, community knowledge and their consent needs to be fully considered. They need to be a part of that journey as well. So the purpose of the TRANSCEND project is to develop a socio-technical system which can promote an adaptive, let's say collaborative governance approach across relevant organizations and support the transparent and democratic involvement of all the relevant stakeholders to analyze, forecast, visualize, and debate disaster risk trade-offs and to choose development plans that ensure sustainability, equitable resilience, giving consideration to climate change. This project is funded by the Global Challenges Research Funds from the UK government and managed by the UK Research Council, UKRI. In this project, we are proposing to have two interventions in Sarawak. The first intervention that we propose is the introduction of a multi-agency collaboration platform called Mobilize, which allows various agencies to establish a common understanding of local risk, assess the impact of disasters on the urban environments, and agree on approaches to reduce vulnerability and building resilience. This platform has been piloted in the UK and Sri Lanka to support a range of resilience building activities such as identifying high-risk communities due to landslide and floods, critical infrastructure exposed to hazards, economic damage due to landslides, climate change impact in 2030, 2050, 2080, the impact of reservoir or dam breach on the downstream communities and infrastructure. So the second intervention that we propose in the establishment of a living lab. What is a living lab? Living lab is an open innovation platform. Living lab offers a positive open innovation environment for government organizations, private organizations, academic institutions, and communities to come together to build a common understanding of their local risks and to co-create. So about not doing things to them, but co-creating solutions that can reduce those risks and build resilience. So Nora will explain more about Sarawak Living Lab in her presentation as well. So TRANSCEND project team look forward to working with Dr. Nora's team at UTM and the government and private organization in Sarawak, as well as academic institutions to contribute to the development of a prosperous and resilient Sarawak in the future. So thank you very much for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Professor Terence Fernando. Sekali lagi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, tepukan gemuruh untuk Professor Terence Fernando. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite Yang Berusaha Associate Professor, Surveyor Dr. Noral Fisha Sulaiman, Country Principal Investigator of Transcend Malaysia and Kanzu Research Resilient Built Environment, University Tun Hussein On, Malaysia, to present her keynote entitled The Establishment of Resilient Forward Lab, Resilience and Agile Cities for Future in Kuching, Sarawak. Tepukan gemuruh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to everyone. Yang amat berhormat, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Yang berbahagia, Dr. Hazlan bin Abang Haji Hibni, Deputy Minister for Energy and Environmental Sustainability. Yang berusaha, Technologist Dr. Zaidi bin Razak, General Manager of Sarawak Multimedia Authority. Yang berbahagia Profesor Technologist Dr. Ruzairi bin Abdul Rahim, Vice Chancellor of UTHM. Yang berbahagia Profesor Terence Fernando, and then yang berusaha Dr. Raslan Ahmad, Chairman of Malaysia Smart City Alliance and Senior Vice President of Malaysia Industry Government Group of High Technology, MIC, distinguished guests, speakers, and all participants. Before I start my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Associate Professor Dr. Nora Fisher Sulaiman. You can call me Dr. Nora. That's okay, right? Okay, in Sarawak, I conduct two research projects. The first is called Mobilize, and the second is called TRANSCEND. So, as mentioned by Dr. Zaidi, we met in 2018 in Kuala Lumpur with our industry partners, RSGs, and yang berhormat Datuk Tan Sri Amar Murshidi ketika itu. Yeah? Okay, today I'm going to talk about the establishment of Resilient Forward Lab, Resilient Agile City for Future. This living lab is actually come out with a combination of two projects, Mobilize and TRANSCEND. Okay, it all started back in 2016 where I met Professor Terence Fernando at the Ting Lab, University of Salford, and then we together tried to apply for a research project. The call is from GCRF, Global Challenge Research Fund, and Engineering and Physical Science Research Council. Why it is from the Global Challenge Research Fund? It is because the challenge is global recognized, and the challenge is very tough. Yeah? And to get the project under the GCRF also very, very difficult. Yeah? Okay, Alhamdulillah, paperwork documentation done, and we win the bid in April 2017. And then signing, it was on May 2017. So the project value is 1.2 Great British Pound in million. And then the project involved Professor Terence Fernando, me from Malaysia, Udaya Kulatungga from University of Muratua, Sri Lanka, and Dr. Mushtaq Ahmad Jan from University of Mashawa. And then the title is Collaborative Multi-Agency Platform for Building Resilient Communities. This is the component of the Mobilize system architecture, but this is very technical. I will skip this part, but actually these are the main important thing involve data, remote sensor data, services, application, as well as the technology sides, right? Okay, this is the aim of the Mobilize project. What is it? Is it to develop a digital infrastructure that can offer intelligence to a range of agencies to work together to reduce the impact of disasters such as flood and landslide on communities, right? So we, at this time, we do not know where exactly the case study of the project. And then we launched the Mobilize 2018 at the Lee Meridian Putrajaya. And then Prof. Terence came and we invited almost 100 participants from Malaysia. Most of them are the government agencies, private partners, voluntary organization, academia from UK, Malaysia, Canada, Pakistan, and Australia. Along the way, these are the identified partners that we found during the event. So potentially, when we discussed with so many partners, they said that big data analysis and the use of advanced technology can enhance Malaysia's ability in disaster management. And then the lack of coordination and the sharing of information between government agencies were its biggest weaknesses. This is the thing that they mentioned. And why now I said to my team, let's observe. which one is the best case study for mobilized project. So we review several states, and with the help of RSGs, and he said he has a lot of data which can help us to converge, I like the word converge, the data from all agencies in Sarawak. So when I look at the review that we made, these are the criteria that we identify that Sarawak have. First, Sarawak is the most ready state for the digital transformations. A lot of digital white documents, authorized documents, strategies, and program. We can see it in Sarawak. And Sarawak has Sarawak Digital Economy Strategy. Sarawak has Sarawak Multimedia Authority. All right, that's wrong, sorry. And then Sarawak Digital Economy Corporation. And then Kuching Smart City Master Plan. And then Sarawak poses a lot of technologies, digital experts in engineering, geospatial, construction technology, big data, and AI. And then we are the state. What I mean is Sarawak is the only state have the digital village. And we are at the digital village, right? All right, and when I went to digital village, I met yang berbahagia Datuk Len. He showed me everything here. The GBI concept, the youngsters and the startup companies, the startup students, youngsters. So I was so happy. Then I said, this is the right place. And then the one that I am very happy on top of the active participation from local agencies and authority is the visionaries leaders. Leaders is very important. Because when I met Tan Sri and Dr. Zaidi, the decision was made in 2018. So a long time ago, we have decided to embark into this project. Sarawak is the game changer. You are leading in terms of having this kind of data to combat disaster digitally. So congratulations, the state of Sarawak. So quickly, when I decided to have Sarawak, quickly we met Datuk Chai from the Sarawak State Security and Enforcement Unit. Seeking his approval, he said that, Dr. Nora, you have to apply to collect your data. To where? To the Unit Perancang Negeri Jabatan Ketua Menteri. So we have to apply to the SORA system, putting all documents, and Alhamdulillah, we get approved from the Sarawak government to collect the data in Sarawak, especially the data sets for Sarawak, right? And then we continue to launch Mobilize Sarawak 2019, and it was officiated by Datuk Iqbal Hunjoyi, Acting Deputy State Secretary for Rural Transformation, and he said that we have to enter without hesitation into the digital world, including in your way of managing disaster and programming our disaster risk reduction activities. Big data analysis, the use of advanced technology together with the elements of Industrial Revolution 4.0 definitely can enhance Sarawak's ability in managing disaster and in making our cities and community more resilient. Agree with that? So we acknowledge the government of Sarawak as our partners for the Mobilize Research Project. And then again, we invited all agencies, BOMBA, police, universities, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, and so many agencies to look at the Mobilize digital platform. Again, this is the moment of truth. Even though it was COVID, so we at UTHM from Liverpool, it travels to Johor Port, and then we have to take it and bring it to UTHM. This is my lab in UTHM, but now it is better and cantik. Kata orang Sarawak, kacak. Kacak lah. Sekarang sudah baik lah. Okay, so kita ada dua platform. We have two platform, which one we send it by air freight to the Sarawak Multimedia Authority. Very difficult to find logistic company during MCO, but we managed to send it because we want to do the data collection as soon as possible. Right? So, as we promised, during the launching of Mobilize Sarawak 2019, so the platform is now available and can be used at the Sarawak Multimedia Authority. Yeah? Right? So again, Mobilize is a platform. We finish collecting data at the moment so far. for the mobilized digital platform. Again, it is platform for supporting evidence-based approach to stakeholders collaboration for building disaster resilient. But while doing the mobilized research, we found that we need a space. We need a virtual space to collaborate, to enhance the stakeholder collaboration. So without the living lab, it could be nothing. Where to place, we should have a dedicated space to put the mobilized platform to be used by all agencies in Sarawak. So me and Prof. Terence, we apply for another grant with the blessing of the State Secretary at that time, Dato' Ahmad Tan Sri Moshidi as well. So he support the letter for us to apply for another project from GCRF again, but it is under the Economic and Social Council of UK. So Alhamdulillah again, Allah give us blessing also. Again, we chose Sarawak for the TRANSCEND project that we call Technology Enhanced Stakeholder Collaboration for Supporting Risk-Sensitive Sustainable Urban Development. Next, this is the aim of the TRANSCEND today. We have listened a lot today to investigate the nature of a socio-technical system enabled by a collaborative foresight and consensus building virtual workspace. And the final outcome of the TRANSCEND is, you can see, number 4, to establish 3 living labs in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Malaysia as an experimentation and learning environment to all participants, to all local organizations, especially to vulnerable community. So this is the outcome from Mobilize. Number 1 is under the phase 1 is we can visualize risk, we can do risk scenario generator, we can do drone data assessment, we can do early warning message, and then we can integrate it with IoT sensor integrated platform. And for the TRANSCEND, it is involved at the phase 2 outcome with the Resilient Forward Lab, where the transformation of collaborative practice can be seen in the TRANSCEND project and in the Living Lab. So we have collaborative risk governance component, climate change adaptation, community engagement, risk-sensitive urban development in the TRANSCEND project. So let me tell you about the Resilient Forward Lab. As we receive 2 platforms, one will be in Johor and another one will be in Kuching. But I recognize that Sarawak is the best in terms of collection of data that we have, in terms of the support that we have from the agency, in terms of the coordination from SMA, Dr. Zaidi and team. So we managed to collect data from about 40 agencies in Sarawak, a lot of data. Yeah, even we have the data that we call 100 years flood extension data. I'll show you, Honorable Premier, how we layered data on 100 years flood extension, and then together with the buildings, housings, and 11 flood-prone area in the Kuching cities. You see that, yeah? Right. So one in Johor, one in Kuching. Again, so the concept that we use, the environment that we use, ecosystem that we use in the Living Lab is 3. First is agile, is the capacity for moving quickly. When I talk about agile, I usually relate it with monkey. You have to be agile, you have to be fast, you have to swift fast, but you are not fall. You save the people's life. That is agile. And when we are talking about resilient, it helps people rebound and manage through adversity and extreme change. When I talk about resilient, I'm talking about lotus flower. The storm, the rain hit you, but your foundation is good. And you bounce back better, you make people smile. That is resilient, right? And when we are talking about adaptive government, it's the governance that promote cross-organizational collaboration, openness, adaptability, learning, impartiality, power sharing, and public participation. Let me bring you to this. Okay, important thing is learning and continuing innovating, right? This is a model of Living Lab. It consists users, private actors, knowledge institute, and public actors. For the Sarawak, we have several local authorities together with us Kuching Utara, Kuching Selatan, Padawan, Kota Samarahan. And then for the technologies, we have Digital Village, we have Microcorp, RSGs. We also receive education grants from Akibas US with the value of 4 million to integrate sustainable development and BEAM technology. And we have CREAM from CIDB, we have FutureEye, and we have SDAC. For the universities, I have conducted a meeting to promote Mobilize and Transcend to all VCs in the state of Sarawak. And at the same time, I also frequently update the government policymakers and decision makers in Sarawak, right? Okay. This is the tools that we are going to equip in the Resilient Forward Lab. And let me bring together, this is the scenario, the real scenario of data that we have collected for the state of Sarawak. Again, mobilize new insight into social infrastructure and environmental vulnerability, assessing slow onset disaster, real-time intelligence for rapid disaster response, real-time disaster visualization in 3D VR-based of space data, and community engagement. So this is the Kuching. Hari ini saya dengar kucing Sarawakku sayang. Inilah dia. Alright. So we managed to plot a lot of data within the Kuching city. So this is the, if you look at the geological part, so these are the selected area for our case study. And this is the, what we call it, categories for the Kuching case study area. So we have LiDAR data in that, we have exposure, we have hazard, and we have geology parameters over there. So when I doing Mobilize project, I also try to use the Mobilize system for COVID-19 for local council that we call Majlis Perbandaraya Petaling Jaya, and also for the Majlis Agama Islam Johor for cemetery, for mosque, for surau, because they have a lot of asset as well for the country. Yep. All right, so this is the geology part and land cover for Kuching City. Right, so you have a lot of data over there which you can look. All right, so you have forest, clear land, oil palm, other crop, right? So next, this is a very beautiful one. Sorry. Tidak. Right, this one. Okay, this is a very, very beautiful one. So we collected a lot of built environment data for the city of Kuching. So we managed to have flood-prone location. I couldn't see. A detention pond, and then drainage line, 100 years flood extension data, rainfall sensor dam, a building footprint, building, section highways. So again, this is all about the conversion of data from different agencies. So we layer it with the 100 years flood extension data, so you will see which area exactly hit by the flood, right? So again, you see the area, you can do the mapping. So this is the hazard. All hazard that you can see in the Kuching city. So when we receive the data from our partners, from agencies, the data is now very, very beautiful. So you can see that where exactly the flood, where exactly the dam, where exactly the rainfall contour, drainage line, and then flood-prone location, then you can read it. And then, again, this is the built environment data. You can see again how severe the flood when it hits the certain cities, a certain area in the cities of Kuching. So now this is a flood-prone location that we plot. I said that we have 11, and unfortunately, the one that we have here is actually the Sarawak General Hospital. All right? It is one of the area that we recognize as flood-prone location. As I said to you, I have used the platform for a resilient community. And the most sufferers people during the disaster is the vulnerable community, is the marginalized community, poor people, elderly, disabled people. So I chose Council, MPPJ, to look at the data on elderly people, to the poor people, because of during disasters, they are the people that we have to save and rescue first. It happened in Selangor, it happened in Shah Alam, where we only can save the elderly, the vulnerable people after the disaster. That's why this system is very, very important to make the word equitable resilience is something that we have to do for our community, right? Okay. This is the Resilient Forward Lab for Sarawak. We have been told that it will be placed at Sarawak Integrated Operations Center. So as the platform is now at the SMA, we look forward for further collaborations. The research is still running. The partners is still active. Prof. Terence still supporting us from ThinkLab Salford. My VCs, yeah, SMA, STEC, Datuk Chai. Yeah? So we didn't come this far to only come this far. So our hope are over there. Hope you to understand and believe on days when all you want to quit, push you again to rise and achieve ever more. We are in need of it. And thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Associate Professor, Surveyor Dr. Nur Alfisha Sulaiman, for the keynote speech. Terima kasih sekali lagi. So with that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our event. We'd like to extend our utmost appreciation to our guest of honor, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, for being with us today. But before we invite our guest of honor for refreshment, we would like to have a big group photo with our guest of honor and all of our guests here today. We'd like to invite all the members of the media and photographers to come up on stage to take the group photo, please. Dipersilakan kami menjemput semua media dan fellow members of the photographers to come up on stage for a final group photo. So probably the people at the back can stand, yeah, they can stand, and we have a nice group photo bersama dengan yang berhormat Premier kita. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for a better future for Sarawak, yeah, for a better future for Sarawak, let's everyone give a thumbs up, please. Baiklah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, so there you have it, the successful launch of Transcend Sarawak and Resilient Forward Living Lab 2022. All right, for the media, again, thumbs up for the media. Alhamdulillah dan terima kasih. Let's give the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak the biggest round of applause, please. And now we invite Yang Berusaha Dr. Zaidi bin Razak to accompany and invite the Right Honourable Premier and distinguished guests for lunch and refreshment. Please stay safe. We hope to see you again in future events. See you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Sekian, terima kasih.